From the studios of TLC Talk Radio, it's TashaTalkz. I'm your girl, Tasha. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, YouTube. Catch us every day on TLCTalkRadio.com, 24/7 edutainment. And we have an incredible show once again lined up for you with our friend, journalist Jason Palmer. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good to be back.
Yes, we love when you come in.
Yeah, it was Christmas last time. You had a tree up and walked in, so yeah, it's been about 8 months.
Dang, where did the year go? Because I swear,
man, I can't wait till it leaves.
Yeah, agreed. Someone posted today that I'm staying up for New Year's not to watch the New Year end, but to make sure this one leaves.
People gonna be burning sage at New Year's Eve, doing signs of the cross and everything else.
Help, Jesus, help.
Yeah, this has been a year like I can't even. I don't. There's never been a year like this in my life.
No.
And I turned 50 in 2 months, but whew,
yeah,
it's been rough. 2020 been rough.
Yeah, absolutely. Rough is an understatement. I don't even know a better word. Like, just damn. Come on, 2021.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So we want to chat, and I love when you come on because you always have so much historical insight. And you made a post the other day. So Chicago has had some interesting activity here lately this week. There was some looting. Downtown Chicago was looted. It was crazy. I woke up without turning on the news because really the news has been getting on my nerves as we talk about 2020, right? Mm-hmm. So I just turned on Facebook. I'm scrolling through and I see all this. These people are crazy. This is happening. And I'm like, what is going on? Let me turn on the news. Mm-hmm. And then I began to watch literally people taking things out of stores. It wasn't that they were oblivious to the cameras. They just didn't care. That was the snippet I caught.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. And so when I was scrolling back through Facebook later, after a press conference, you had a post that said, so the mayor blasted Kim Foxx's office and Cook County judges finally. And I said, oh, let me call him right now. Come on, be on the show. So there was commentary that the lack of prosecution of looters, not peaceful protesters, from earlier in the year emboldened these looters this time. And 15th Ward Alderman Anthony Napolitano, who's a former officer, is calling on Kim Foxx to resign. So her response was that the Inglewood shooting that was attributed to be the cause of the looting couldn't really be linked to it. And her quote from CBS 2 was, I want to be abundantly clear that this office gave an active policy related to peaceful protesters back in May and June. And the conflation of peaceful protesters and looting continues to this day. Yeah. My hope is that we have an honest conversation about that as well. And that was her quote. So is the criticism being directed at her fair? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot going on. It happened kind of like in the middle of the night on a Sunday night?
Sunday night, early Monday morning.
It caught everyone off guard.
Yeah.
And it wasn't your typical civil unrest. This was a response to an incident that took place in Inglewood, and some residents of that community and some from other communities basically put the word out on social media that they were headed downtown to loot as a response, and that's what they did. So this wasn't like a protest for a civil justice issue that then spun out of control.
Sure.
Or this wasn't a situation like what we've basically been having is peaceful, organized protesters, and then they get infiltrated by people who are anti-government, people who just want to cause problems. This wasn't that.
Right.
That would have been what happened last month over the Columbus statue, where people were protesting to get the Columbus statue down. There was some anarchists there who used the protest as a cover to do what they did.
Sure.
This was crime.
Yeah.
This was crime. Mm-hmm. This was criminal behavior. I thought the mayor was very accurate in saying that. Mm-hmm. that people were committing felony acts. And it was disturbing to just see that, to see what happened. I mean, we all love Chicago. We know Chicago has some issues. This is one of those issues. There's an element, and we need to come to grips with that, especially in our community. There's a element of just criminals in our community, violent criminals. They're throughout society, which means they're also in our community. And we just have to understand that there's going to be that percentage of people who are out there who are going to do that, and you have to have systems in place to deal with them. They need to go away for a while, away from everyone else. So that's pretty much the smoke that's being given to Kim Foxx.
Okay.
So it's a really interesting situation, Tasha, because, you know, everyone is to blame for this. And in my book that I'll be completing in a couple of months, you know, I'm trying to think of a title. And my title may be Everybody's to Blame for Chicago and Crime.
I like it.
Because, you know, it is the police department. It is the state's attorney's office. It is the political figures. It is the people in the neighborhood. It is that criminal element that I just talked about. All these things are responsible. It is the media in Chicago. All these entities are responsible for what's going on here. But I thought it was interesting because I was like, okay, good. We're going to finally have this fight out in public that need to happen between the mayor's office, the police department, and the state's attorney's office, and everybody else. So just to give people a history, basically, people kind of feel like because our police department has done stuff that they shouldn't have been doing, that you can't trust the police. Okay, that's one part of it. Because we have so many corrupt politicians in Chicago, you can't really trust what they're doing. The state's attorney's office has unjustly prosecuted hundreds of black people when there was a lack of evidence or when the evidence was framed.
Yeah.
So they're guilty.
Sure.
So you have all these entities now which have not been doing their job. They haven't been playing above board. So now it goes all the way down to society, where the people don't have trust in the system, and they figure, well, they're going to be corrupt, I might as well be corrupt too. And that's the mentality you have. The Chicago Police Department right now, they have a murder clearance rate. This means after they're investigating a murder, they have a clearance rate of 15% right now. It's abysmal. So that means that if you murder someone in Chicago, you got an 85% chance of getting away with it.
Wow.
I mean, at those odds, I mean, I know people who ain't criminals, but they got beef with somebody, and they'll take a chance at 85%.
Don't do it, y'all. Don't do it.
That's some good stats. I might get away with this. So,
right.
You know, at 85%, you know, you have people who are living rough lives and in difficult situations. So, yeah, they are emboldened to do stuff. But to take the focus off the police and more back to Kim Foxx and her office. So one of the things she vowed during her campaign was that she wanted to reduce the prison population, because a lot of people are in Cook County Jail not because they committed violent crimes, but because they could not afford bail.
Right.
And I think that's a very worthy cause to take up, but you got to be careful how you do it. And because there are some people who, like I just said, we do need them locked up away from society.
Yeah.
And unfortunately in Chicago, there's a number of situations where the police will lock criminals up. That person is out on bail, and that person then commits a more violent act.
Sure. Which
creates more victims of crime. And that is where the frustration from the Chicago Police Department and the Fraternal Order Police comes from.
Yeah.
With Kim Foxx's office. Like, you've got to know who you're letting out. Well, state attorney's office then goes and says, it ain't us. We can't release nobody. We can charge them. It's the judges. So now we got the judges involved. Well, Judge, what did you decide when you said, okay, give this person $400 bail? Or, you know, you give this person $1 million bail.
Right.
You know, how are you going through vetting the process there? So basically you got everybody doing this.
Sure. That finger pointing.
Right. Not me. It's you. No, it's you. No, it's you. Oh, it's them over there. Oh, and my favorite line, well, it was like this when I got here.
We put you in to edit, please.
Right, right. So, you know, you have all those factors coming into play. And that's why I say everybody's guilty. You know, everybody got skin in this game.
Mm-hmm.
The good thing about that is it means that everybody can solve it.
Sure.
But we got to have the will to solve it. My thing with what happened with the mayor calling out Kim Foxx and the judges, I didn't have a problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
Kim Foxx came back and gave her response later that day.
Sure.
And she was basically like, hey, don't blame me. You know, she gave her response. They need to do what is the first words of your show.
Talk.
Talk.
Mm-hmm.
They need to talk. All of them. It needs to be Chief Judge Timothy Evans. It needs to be State's Attorney Kim Foxx. It needs to be the Mayor, Lori Lightfoot. It needs to be Police Superintendent David Brown. They need to all, I'm sorry, and it needs to be Tony Preckwinkle, who is the Cook County Board President.
Sure.
They all need to sit down at a round table like this
You all are welcome here.
and put it all on the table.
Yeah.
Get whatever beefs y'all got with each other, whatever political affiliations y'all got with each other, whatever the problem is, get that nonsense over with. Because people are dying in the city. People are getting hurt. Y'all need to get y'all stuff together. Get it all out on the table and start from there. The really disappointing part is that all these people who we're talking about are African Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all in very powerful changing positions where they can make changes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for years we've fought in this city and said, well, we want representation at the table. Well, now we are the table.
Yeah, we are there.
We the table. So I don't want to hear all these excuses from black people when they be on Facebook when I go in on somebody. Don't make these excuses because this is what we wanted. We put our people in these positions now. We should be seeing different results.
Sure.
Things shouldn't be getting worse. I don't want to hear, well, it was like this before. You there now. You can make changes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the main problem I see is that none of them have communicated with this. I actually don't think Lori knows enough because I don't think she knows enough history of Chicago because she's not from here.
Okay.
She's a transplant. David Brown, same thing. He's a transplant. Kim is from here. She grew up in Cabrini Green. She knows some stuff. Preckwinkle been here. They know some stuff. They need to sit down and talk. And in that conversation, too, I think you also need to include Tom Dart, who is our Cook County Sheriff.
Yeah.
Because he's doing a job at the jail, you know, where he's basically said Cook County Jail is the largest mental health institution in the country right now because many of the inmates are people who have mental health issues. And, you know, we know from previous administrations they've closed mental health centers in Chicago. Rahm Emanuel closed half of them when he was in. And, you know, that's one of the things Lori hasn't looked at. She, you know, okay, Lori, you ran on this. You know, when you going to start opening them clinics back up? Hadn't heard a word from her on that.
Mm.
And, you know, this is where I blame the press. We're not holding people accountable.
Mm-hmm.
We're not holding people accountable. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's the President Barack Obama. I don't care if it's President Trump. I don't care if it's your local governor, your local councilman. When the public doesn't hold these people accountable, and the media is a big part of that, then they do whatever, just like the people who went looting.
Mm-hmm. Emboldened.
They're emboldened because they don't see the political leadership being held accountable.
Yeah.
Why should I be held accountable?
Yeah.
It's just human nature.
Yeah. Follow the leader. Wow. So what do you think is the first part of that conversation? All right, we get all of these players together. It's like you said, everybody has to get in the game, right? What is the first conversation, part of the conversation?
The first conversation is you've got to deal with what has happened already, what's happened in the past. You can't start anew until y'all deal with what has been going on. Mm-hmm. And that's why I say they got to sit down and get all their beefs out with each other. I know they've got some personal beefs with each other. Mm. That's why they hadn't been talking. But their personalities, everybody got to throw their personality at the door. Yeah. You know, they all got big egos. So that's the first thing you got to do. Okay, let's get past the past. Second, you have to analyze what has happened. What are the things that has led to this behavior and how we got ourselves here? Okay, this is what led to, okay, boom. Then you got to come up with your plan. How are you going to fix this? What resources do each of you have control over that you can address the situation? That's where I think the biggest problem is they're not sharing resources. They're not communicating enough amongst each other Sheriff Dart has certain resources. Superintendent Brown has certain resources. The mayor has certain resources. Cook County President Preckwinkle, she's got certain resources. You know, do you need some help from the state? You know, call up JB Pritzker. Hey, JB, this is what we need. Do you need some help from the federal government? Bring in the congressmen who represent the city of Chicago.
Sure.
You know, we got plenty of congressmen. Where are our U.S. senators? The problem is none of them communicate, Tasha. None of them. They're all operating like their own
Island.
independent island. And because of that, we got chaos in Chicago. You know, none of the political leadership is communicating with each other.
Yeah. Analogous, I'm a teacher. And so I teach, you know, the department I teach science. But I can't set up a schedule without conferring with the rest of my team to make sure that I'm not doing something that kind of negatively impacts them. Mm-hmm. And so, like you said, that conversation piece is really important. How likely do you think that how likely do you think it'll be that they'll come together?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope they do. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, think about it like this, Chicago. When was the last time you seen all of them together at one press conference addressing an issue?
Yeah.
Never.
Right.
You've never seen all of them together. And they're all Democrats, which is the scary part. It's not like there's, you know, some sort of partisan politics in place here. Y'all all members of the same party.
Yeah. You're allegedly on the same team.
Y'all allegedly on the same team. All the congressmen, all the aldermen, all the mayor people, the county people. You're all in the same party.
Yeah.
How are you all not talking?
Yeah, that's amazing. And so we're left to deal with, you know, the repercussions, these hard conversations, do I want to go, you know, down. It's one thing to be nervous in my neighborhood. I can't even go downtown either. It's now everywhere. It's everywhere. A problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and, you know, and that's the thing, too, you know, and I was trying to explain that to some of my friends who live on the north side or in other parts of Chicago. It's like, you do realize they're not going to be able to contain this to just the south and west sides, which is usually how they try and define it. Oh, sure. Chicago is fine as long as you're not on the south and west side. Look, it's crime everywhere.
Absolutely.
I just came from the north side, visiting someone who lives she lives 4400 North on Lakeshore Drive, and she's got the divvy bikes outside of her building. She lives in like a 30-story building with apartments and condos. Real nice neighborhood. They've got the divvy bikes out there. She's like, they added more of these doggone divvy bikes. I was like, what's wrong with that? She's like, we went to our alderman and told them we need these removed because they're causing problems. I'm like, the divvy bikes? She's like, at nighttime, the gangbangers come up here, they steal the bikes, and then they go out and commit crimes on the divvy bikes. So we've had drive-by shootings, we have all this stuff. So I know it's true because one of my friends who was an officer told me that this is what they do. Wow. So, you know, but it's this image that doesn't happen on the north side.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens on the north side. I used to deliver medicine for a pharmacy, and a lot of their clients were up there on the north side. I've seen a whole bunch of gangbangs on the north side. You know, it's a lot of crime that happen on the north side.
Yeah, absolutely.
They need to get out of that mentality that, oh, it'll never happen here in Wicker Park. It can't happen in Lincoln Park. It's happening there. It's happening in Bucktown. You know, it's a citywide problem.
Yeah.
And here's, when I read the book, Make Me Want to Holler, some years back, one of the things he said was what people have to understand is that when the criminals get tired of robbing the people in their neighborhood, they got to go to different areas because now you get known, one. Two, you got to rob 3 people in a poor neighborhood to get the money that you could get robbing one person in a rich neighborhood. So what happens is the criminals start to figure that out and they start to change their focus.
Yeah.
You know, they start going in different areas and committing crime. So, you know, it's a citywide problem. It's actually a countywide problem. Don't think these suburbs don't deal with this. A couple of years ago, there was a story, the suburban police departments were reaching out to the Chicago Police Department because they were having gang issues in their different suburbs.
Wow. And
none of them had experience with how to deal with gangs, how to identify gangs. So they had a bunch of crimes happening and they didn't know what the heck was going on. They didn't know how to solve it. So, I mean, it's going to spread. It's not just going to be limited to certain parts of town. It's already throughout the entire county.
Sure.
So.
And that goes back to the point you made about the media. If you only watch the news, if you only you think it's only happening, like you said, in these two, on the south side and the west side. No, it's happening, as you said, everywhere in a variety of ways. But the focus is always, Inglewood,
Right.
or
It is.
wherever. That's not north.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's really important that it's covered fairly.
It is. It is. And, I just think, getting back to the Fox situation, I think she's got to, I think the other thing that's coming into play here is COVID-19 because there was the outbreak at the jail. So, what the Governor Pritzker did in the Illinois prison system, he released a lot of inmates for the fear of, the COVID spreading in the prisons. Tom Dart did the same thing at the jail. And, they kind of said, there are probably some people who we're letting out who kind of on the borderline here on should we be doing this, but they kind of felt like, well, if we keep them here and they get the COVID, then we've got another issue. So they decided to release a lot of people who probably shouldn't be released, and some of them out here causing problems. And I can have some empathy for them being in that position.
Sure.
Trying to vet who you think can get out and be successful in society and who you need to keep locked up. It's a gamble they're taking.
Yeah.
It's a big chance they're taking. So there are a lot of factors here rolling into one here in 2020. You add to this the social climate, the political climate in the country. You got a powder keg waiting to happen. So while I wasn't surprised that it happened, because I know the conditions are ripe for it.
Sure.
And I know it can continue to happen. We may have another one this weekend. And truth be told, I honestly think it would have happened again the following night had we not had those severe tornadoes and thunderstorms that rolled through the area that night. Because I know I was getting reports from the street that they were planning on, kind of doing it again in different parts of town. And the mayor was preparing for it because she started raising the bridges again, which, basically just makes people more mad when she does that because it's her saying, I care more about downtown and the north side than I do about other parts in the city. I'm like, okay, if you want to raise the bridges because you don't want to do that, fine. But also put the officers out on the street. Call in the National Guard. If you're really fearful they're going to do this, then protect all the city.
Right. Yeah. And that's a good point. Because I did feel some kind of way when I saw the bridges up. And then, at first my response was personal. Like, I was going to Smith and Williams. Okay, wait, let me focus. So, I had to stop and think about it. Well, wait a minute. What about the people who legitimately had to go to work? I called a girlfriend. I have my little girlfriend thread, and I'm like, is everybody good? And my girlfriend said, I don't have the option to work from home. I said, well, then you're taking the day off. And she's arguing with us. Like, no, I got to go to work. I said, you're, and so finally one of our friends said, I will actually pay you for the day. Tell me what your day rate is. We're not sending you, because we don't know what's happening.
Right.
And so you'll be all right minus a sick day. But we need you here.
Right.
But it was pretty scary. I did call my parents and say, what are you doing? And they were like, we're in the house. Yeah, stay in the house. My mother, I want a Polish. Stay in the house.
Right.
Because I'm not sure what's happening.
Right. And that's the thing, Tasha, right now, it's so much uncertainty. You can't really prepare. It's like we all know something's happening.
Sure.
But we haven't quite put our finger on it. And, that's always been my feeling. I talked to my producer on my show, the What's Up Cuz show, my producer Maya. She says all the time, there's something going on here that's deeper than we all realize, and I'm very fearful of it. And it's funny because every time I come here, we end up talking about guns for self-defense. But like Maya's like
I'm with it.
Right, and Maya's like she's been one of my friends who's been like, never. She's like, I think I'm gonna be taking lessons. Yeah. Our girl Jen Lee, one of our schoolmates, Jen was always arguing with me about guns. She done went to class, all posted her pictures.
Right.
With a target. So, it's just, that shows you the level of uncertainty. Yeah. Gun sales are up 5,000% since March. Wow.
Yeah. Like you said, so much uncertainty. I want to thank you for coming by once again. I so appreciate your insight. Every time I have a political concern, I'm like, let me see what Jason said. Not that I can't analyze, but I just like the way you put
it. Yeah. We just need them to talk.
Yeah.
They need to talk and come up with some plans.
Yeah, and that's it. I think that was the concern of some people. Like, well, what was the plan? We knew this happened before. Why was there nothing in place? Valid question.
Yeah, without doubt.
Valid question. So once again, from the studios of TLC Talk Radio, this is TashaTalkz. I'm your girl Tasha with our friend Jason Palmer. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media pages: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Jason, tell people how they can reach your show.
Our show. It's called What's Up Cuz with Jason Palmer and my cousin Lance Irvin. You can check us out on YouTube. We are on Sports Zone Chicago, which is a black-owned company now.
Yep.
We are on Sports Zone Chicago. We have an app. You can download us on Google, Amazon, Apple. That's one way you can do it, but you can also check us out on YouTube on the Sports Zone Chicago page and blackvibes.com as well. So we're on a variety of places.
Excellent, excellent. Tune in to TLCTalkRadio.com 24/7 edutainment. We'll catch you next week.